The story is about Anastasia, an orphan girl, and her sad life, and how her life changes after meeting a man. So let's begin. In the morning, Redford called Anastasia to his room and she began to speak. Anastasia Everdeen, I overlook your selfish behavior up until now. I was expecting you to realize and regret how terribly you've been behaving all this time, and finally change for the better. Anastasia began to speak to herself. What a joke, he never even sees me in his eyes. Ever since Anastasia came to this mansion, even the servant have looked down on him. Despite him being the duck fiancé, he never tried to do anything about it. Anastasia began to speak her mind again. Why would he reach to me now? The duck again started to say, but all you done is disappoint me. Even in this doc mention he doesn't show how he really feels. Again disbelief. Asia began to think that it'd be much better if you got angry for once. It's as if the duck is saying that Anastasia is not what the office anger. Again the duck say to Anastasia that, do you think that I would bear with your conceited and selfish behavior for the rest of my life? Hearing that Anastasia got angry and Sayed, concited you say, the duck Sayed, I have already said that you never have the right to call me selfish or Redford. Then Anastasia began to say to herself that, I can cry if I do, this person will only laugh at me. Anastasia started biting her lips in anger. Said, I am still your fiancé though, His Majesty directly. At that time his servant suddenly came into the office and said, Your Grace, it's an emergency, His Majesty has passed away. Hearing the news Anastasia was very shocked, but the dark was very happy. The duck said, in the end you have even lost your safety net. After winter as spring will come. For Anastasia spring is a cruel season, the spring that is coldest than winter. Anastasia life has always been a tragic one. Anastasia's father, Jacqueline Everdy, had a gentle personality but no talent. A mediocre person overall. Having been exiled after losing the power struggle, and having already passed the prime manageable age, he ended up marrying the daughter of a baron of a rural area. His wife, Verita Everdy, was very beautiful, despite being born from a poor baron's family. Both of them were able to attain the title of Viscount, but due to their small region, could not escape being poor. Sealing inside year to his brothers who were able to climb the social ladder. Jacqueline hung himself the year Anastasia turned 40. At his final not a single relative who attended shed a tear for him. When Anastasia's mother was crying, Anastasia said mother, and her mother hugged her and started crying. But everyone else who came there started talking about them. They were talking that his daughter found him. She's only 14 age and 14 years old, already mature enough. Even so to show his daughter such a cruel sight. Not long after Anastasia discovered that they had a significant amount of debt. Even selling almost everything they owned couldn't pay of the debt. And so they became nobles only in names. A year after, while sitting holding a grudge against Jacqueline, very tired, also killed herself. After losing both of her parents, Anastasia became an orphan. Because of a law that no bills cannot work, she starved for days on end. She was thinking, I wonder when the last time I eat was so cold. I am hungry, I am also thirsty. So lonely, why is it always Anastasia? She said that her hand and feet were so rough she wanted to die. But after imaging her parents' face she was very scared, even so she didn't want to die like her parents. Suddenly a luxurious carriage stopped by her house. It has a swan emblem. It was the crest of Everdy family. From that carriage a person came out. That person is Countess Everdy. The Countess said that she was surprised that Anastasia noticed her arrival. She also saw yet that Anastasia looked like her mother. She pushed Anastasia and said, he is a bit too thin, but not bad. After hearing that, Anastasia said, what are you doing? Her aunt said, how impertinent, just the obedient, she is smart, and said Anastasia was going to get marriage. Hearing that, Anastasia was very shocked. Anastasia leaves for home with Aunt Tara in her horse-drawn carriage. That carriage cushion was really soft. When her father and mother was still alive he never had a chance to sit on it. Their carriage arrived at her uncle mansion. Earl Everdy looks so much like Anastasia's father. Her uncle said, Anastasia, do you know how political fraction of these empire divided? This empire had 4 fractions, the emperor fractions, the noble sections, the pops faction, the duck side. In reality 200 years ago, the Poops lovers were on the blink of falling because of its corruption, and the other 3 fraction were fighting for the main spot. Everdy house has been in the emperor faction for many generations. Anastasia uncle said the Pops flowers are falling down, the nobles aren't showing any moves. The problem lies in the duck's side. Their blood belongs to the royal family, so we can't flag a war with them. He also say that, the other day before his death, Duck Redford had delegated authority to his son. In other words, the right to inherit the throne is now his. That's all is no way like his father, he is a greedy man. He also say that, there be a hug problem if he shock hands with other fractions and aimed for the throne. He is really hurt over his father passing. He told Anesthesia that he heard that Anesthesia was in debt. And he will pay it all of on one condition that Anesthesia have to get married with him on behalf of his house. He was using Anesthesia as his tool to stop the Dark from taking the throne. With that hug debt, even if Anesthesia work for the rest of his life, he won't be able to pay it off. Though even if he lived a rich life, she still won't be happy. It's been a while since Anesthesia abandoned the Nobel title. There's one thing that Anesthesia is sure, that the duck will get bored of him. All the things that happened those days when she have to bare teeth in hunger will no longer return. She is ready to accept this marriage. And she said yes to his uncle. 7 months later, Anastasia was in the duck house and she was looking around her garden. Then the duck said from behind, "You are my fiancé." Then Anastasia looked at the duck and said it was her fiancé. Marriage life with the duck had now begun after the coming of age ceremony was done. The odor had made himself known to the nobles. Anastasia has to come with him against her will. After entering the party, everyone started talking about Anastasia. They say that she was pretty but still an orphan. Even if she is now the duck's fiancé, it won't change the fact that she is a lonely rat of these society. The duck asked Anastasia if he was okay, but there was an angry look on his face. He starts to say again that this will never end, and Anastasia says that she no. Anastasia asked therefore that he must really hate him. Therefore said, "Of course, I cannot stop this engagement, but I'll say this: no way you dear the Red Fort name for sure."